is one of the co-founders of the BookTech Collective. He is the co-founder of Limassol International Book Fair. He is the publisher in charge of Armida books for over 22 years, and he is also a board member of Cyprus Publishers Association. Armida is a multiple award-winning indie publisher based in Nicosia. Publishes intelligent contemporary fiction and distinguished non-fiction of highest standards by both local and international authors. And Armida has received the European Union Prize for Literature, and since then it has remained one of the leading exporter of literary rights of Cypriotic Greek literature worldwide. So now I invite Harris to present the closing remarks of BookTech Club.
Thank you all for this wonderful 3 hours. I'll try to be quick. So as we have come to the end of this first BookTech conversation, my task is to very briefly summarize of what was said today, but to offer also a few key takeaways, some brief reflections, and then a look at what comes next for BookTech. What stayed with me is that we are not discussing a distant future. We're discussing a transformation already happening around us at different speeds, in different markets, and with very different consequences. Richard Charkin reminded us that even in this new technological environment, some of the oldest challenges of publishing still remain. The hardest thing is still to sell a book, especially in an age of hyper-publication. The publisher remains in many ways a facilitator, connecting authors, readers, markets, formats, visibility, and trust. But publishing has often been slow to adapt new technologies, and this is no longer a luxury we can afford. Carlo, on the other hand, helped us think about where technological conversations take place. Technology is already present in international book fairs, but it could be much more strategically present, especially in professional programs, where rights, attention, networks, and industry positioning matter. For smaller and emerging markets, technology can become a practical route to international visibility if each publisher understands which tools, channels, and partnerships actually serve its own catalog and market. Nadim Sadek, on the other hand, brought the question of discoverability sharply into focus. In a world of superabundance, where more content is being produced than any reader could possibly absorb, it is no longer enough for a book simply to exist. Books need to be positioned, expressed, and discovered across multiple channels, formats, and cultural contexts. His key point, for me, is that AI can help publishers move beyond production and think more strategically about a book's place in culture, its readers, its competition, its author brand, its publisher brand, and its many possible forms of expression. Publishers may need to develop their own AI capacity, not as gimmick, but as a tool for efficiency and creative emancipation. Senthil Nathan brought the conversation to translation, one of the most important and thorny, complex parts of international publishing. Human translation is publishable, but often slow, expensive, and limited in scale. AI translation is fast and affordable, but too often still lacks consistency, voice, style, and the deeper architecture of a book. The key takeaway for me is that we need to work with AI in a way that allows publishers to build and retain their own IP, the translation memory, the style, the glossary, the editorial knowledge, the workflow, and the accumulated intelligence of the publishing house. A book is not just a collection of sentences. It is a long-form composition of voice, rhythm, cultural references, emphasis, and intention. Adiba Omar asked us to begin from a fundamental question. What problems are we actually trying to solve? In the ASEAN context, with hundreds of millions of people, an enormous linguistic, cultural, and social diversity, the question is not simply how AI can help us produce more books, but how it can help knowledge reach the people it is meant to serve. Her takeaway from me is that the real opportunity is not automation for its own sake, but hybrid intelligence, the combination of human understanding and artificial intelligence. AI should not be a substitute for human purpose, but a force multiplier for access, equality, reading intelligence, and perhaps most importantly, societal impact. Mohamed Salah, on the other hand, brought the focus to the Arab publishing industry and to something very practical, infrastructure. In a market of more than 400 million Arabic speakers across 22 countries, the region is culturally connected, but still lacks the shared publishing infrastructure that would allow books to move easily across borders. POD, digital books, logistics, and distribution are not just technical services. They are the systems that determine whether books can move efficiently, whether publishers can reach readers, and whether regional markets can become more connected. Digital transformation is not only about AI, it's also about building the practical foundations that allow publishing ecosystems to function better and overcome barriers of geography, cost, and distribution. Ricardo Almeida brought us back to the question of adaptation and access. Publishing is changing, and the old ways of working are no longer enough. Print on demand has changed the physics of publishing. Books can now be available across markets without the same barriers of geography, stock, and traditional distribution. His key takeaway for me is that the barrier was never talent. The barrier was access. And this is where AI can become a great equalizer for publishers, supporting editorial analysis, cover design, translation, market positioning, metadata, SEO, and global distribution. But for this to work, AI cannot remain generic. It has to understand the specific needs, catalogs, and realities of publishing. Taken together, these contributions leave us with a larger reflection. The future of publishing is not simply a question of tools. It is a question of direction. Do we use technology simply to produce more, faster, and cheaper? Or do we use it to expand access, strengthen visibility, support translation, build infrastructure, protect quality, and create new opportunities across different markets? For me, the answer is not fear, and it's not blind enthusiasm either. It is conscious adaptation. The future of publishing will not be shaped by technology alone. It will be shaped by the choices we make around access, quality, responsibility, visibility, ownership, and trust. This is why the BookTech Collective exists, not to offer one final answer, but to create a space where these questions can continue to be explored together, practically, critically, and internationally. And this brings me to one final and very important point. BookTech is not intended to be just an annual event or a one-off online conference. We are building it as an ongoing professional community, a collective of people who care about the intersection of publishing and technology, and who want to remain in conversation beyond today. So our invitation is simple. After today's conference, please fill in the BookTech interest form. Tell us what matters to you, what you need, and where you think BookTech can be of most useful. Through the same form, you will also be able to receive BookTech newsletters, updates on future events, community initiatives, and opportunities to participate in future discussions. You will also be able to express interest in joining our informal WhatsApp community. This conversation will also continue in person. BookTech will have a role this November at the Limassol International Book Fair in Cyprus. More details will be announced in due course. Over the next few months, we will also be glad to meet many of you in Kuala Lumpur at the IPA Congress, in Abu Dhabi, in Frankfurt, in Sharjah, and of course in Limassol. So if you see us at the book fair, let's talk. We warmly invite you to stay connected, fill in the form, and help us shape this network together. Thank you very much for your time, and I give back my space to Langoman.